To answer the question on everyone's minds, it takes about 4 weeks for your lips to finally calm down, so. What is up, guys? Welcome back. It is that video. It is the end of the year, best of the best of 2020, and I have actually organized my thoughts this time. One of the things that made it really easy to organize my thoughts was the fact that I organized my makeup. So I was just going through each drawer and I was like, oh yeah, okay. And for once I didn't have to rely on my extremely fallible memory. So I have something for pretty much every category. In fact, I have many things for every category. That's why these videos are so long. And someone did volunteer the idea of splitting it up. You can split it up yourself if you want to. I just want this to be a one-stop shop for you guys at the end of the year or anytime to come back and see where my thoughts were at the end of 2020. So this is going to be a full roundup of everything that I loved in the year 2020 and also some things that didn't come out in 2020. Some of the things are just like my most used items if I didn't feel like there was something in the category to like meet that specific need. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump in because we're gonna be here for a while. So, I didn't have anything really in the primer category because I really haven't been using primers this year. There have been sunscreens, there have been like the Thrive primers that came out. Nothing that I feel like you have to run out and just spend your money on. I don't think any primer has made that big of a difference to me. And also, I haven't been leaving my house. The long wear of makeup and things like that have not been that consequential for me this year. However, this is something that goes under makeup, and I think that it is very important to mention. This is not something that came out this year, but it is something that has gotten so much use from me this year that it just has to go in this video, and this is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. This is the best color canceling product that I have ever used on my face. It does such a good job of actually camouflaging not just your under eye circles and things like that, but if you have some, you know, semi-negligible discoloration spots, healing zits, what have you, you don't even have to necessarily cover them with concealer. You can just cover them with a color corrector like this, and this does come in 2 shades. It's very reflective. It's not necessarily a shade match, but the other one is a little bit deeper. Moving into foundations, I have quite a few, and I'm going to talk about all of them. One, I do not have in my hot little hands, but I did just reorder it. If you guys might recall, my mom came to town. I let her try my Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint, and she pocketed it and she took it home. So it's hers now. And so I just reordered that. That is just a testament to how much I like it. I have it in the shade Tulum. I said Formentera last time because that is the shade that I have in the other one. But that is my favorite skin tint of the year just because it's super duper lightweight. It's very, very pretty. It doesn't have any silicones in it. It doesn't have any coconut in it, I believe. And it has a mineral SPF. So it's just a big winner all around, especially for dry skin, especially for light coverage. The next one that came out this year that absolutely blew me away, and yes, I did have to check, this was like 11 months ago that I made this video, the Bite Change Maker Supercharged Micellar Foundation. I have it in the shade L10. It is so good. It is a foundation that is quite silicone-y, and so when you put it on sometimes, it's hard to get the effect right away. You're like, oh, how's this going to be on my skin? But when it dries down, not only is it beautiful in person, but I feel like it's super photographable. For being a very lightweight formula, it has a lot of wear time and it does show up beautifully on camera. I just saw myself in multiple videos when I would go back and watch my own stuff and I was like, what am I wearing on my face? And thank goodness I listed it down below the video and I was like, it's that Bite foundation. So this is one that I have gone away from and come back to several times because it does have a fair amount of coverage. It is pretty buildable and a lot of times I don't reach for it for that reason, but you can wear this without powder. It does beautifully with cream products on top. It's a very adaptable foundation and I would say, I mean, you can probably look at the finish online. I don't know exactly what it says, but for me, it kind of goes to like a satin, not matte, but definitely not dewy at all. It has its own dry down. Another one that has its own dry down and is surprisingly wonderful, and actually, like I said, I've been watching a ton of Jamie French recently. They sent her this as well, and she was also obsessed with it, and it is the Skin Perfect HD Foundation from Kackie. It's $12.99 at Sally's. This is such a good foundation and it really surprised me because you see HD on the bottle and you think it's going to be full coverage matte, and you know what? It's not. It is a beautiful skin finish. There is a pretty good shade range on this, I wanna say. It's very affordable and it's just absolutely uncomplaining, gorgeous, builds to full coverage. You can powder it, but you don't have to. It behaves like a prestige foundation and it is at a drugstore price. So I had to throw this in. Another one that I have discovered this year, and that's what I actually have on my face today. This is my full coverage pick. This is the Uma Beauty Say What Weightless Soft Matte Hydrating Foundation. Soft matte hydrating. It is a tough needle to thread, but this does it. So I have this in the shade White Pearl T1W. Gosh, that sounds specific. And it is, because this is an insanely extensive line. I'm not sure exactly how many there are, but I mean, this is a very, very inclusive shade range. It is a beautiful formula, and Uma's angle is that they understand that different skin colors are going to have different skin needs. And so each shade or shade range, like within the range, are formulated slightly differently to accommodate the needs of different skin tones. And so I don't know how they do it, but it works for me. And as far as the days that I want to get a really snatched full coverage canvas, this is the one that I've been reaching for. It is just lovely. You can get it at Ulta, you can get it online. And the next one, I'm done feeling any shame about it. At me all you want. I do not care. I will defend it. The most inclusive foundation of the year. The Becca Zero Virtual Foundation, because it's clear. I wore the daylights out of this in the summertime because it is actually better than wearing nothing. For people who like to have a slightly matte finish on their skin, like there are so many skin tints out there, right? And everybody's like, oh, it's so nice. It's just this nice skin finish. Not everybody wants a dewy skin finish on top of their maybe oily skin, especially in the summertime. And this is actually a mattifying product. You can see the difference. Wait, get my eyes out of it. The difference where I just put it. Yes, it kind of looks like a blurring primer, but this dries down. It doesn't stay slippy, and so it does work when you try and use things on top of it that need a little bit of grip on your skin, whereas a primer is going to stay slippier. That's just my experience with it. I have thought that it is a very, very cool product, even though the entire internet hates it. It's basically an unpopular opinion at this point. Okay, two more. This is the one that I have used the most that I haven't really talked about that much until recently, but honestly, it is probably my personal favorite, even though it doesn't hit the mark for everybody, and it doesn't hit the mark because there are only 5 shades in this. They are expansive, and this is a very, very small brand. This is Arrive Beauty. This is their Skin Boost. This is going to go into my project pan going into 2021 because I really could use this every single day. This is such an unbelievable formula, and I came back to it again over and over again. What I love about this is that it dries down in a way that really feels like you powdered it, but doesn't look sucked dry. It doesn't have that thing where it separates between the moisture that's in the product and the powder that's in the product, because a lot of times a foundation that dries down on its own, that's what it does. This somehow keeps a skin finish when you put it on, but it cooperates so well with anything else that you want to wear on top of it, powder or cream, and it's just a really, really good formula. It's super, super pretty, and I think it's only like $23 or something. It's very affordable. And then finally, you know, I always have to declare my foundation of the year, and I'm calling this foundation of the year because it hits so many marks. It has flexibility of coverage, it has an enormous shade range, it has a great formulation to it, and it's a pretty good price. So that is the Exa Beauty Foundation. This is a company that is owned, it's like the, you know, store label, I guess you could say, of Credo. They came out with a primer that went with this. I didn't buy it. I don't feel like I necessarily needed it. A fantastic formula. Also, I wear Light in the Arrive, and I wear Therese 530 in the Exa Beauty, and it's just such a pretty, kind of glowy, lit from within kind of finish. It's not just that it's a great shade range or that it's a good price or that it's a good formula. It has that luminosity to it when you put it on your skin that you're just like, I don't understand how they're doing that. I think it's mica that does that, but it's just so effective. When you put this on your skin, you just feel brighter. It's very, very pretty. So I love that foundation too. So I would call that my foundation of the year because it hits all the marks. But as far as like affordable, what I'm using the most every single day, it's actually this. Okay, moving right into concealers. Haven't really had good luck with concealers this year. I've tried a lot of concealers and only a couple of them really rose to the top. So one of them is the Uma Stay Woke concealer. Again, a lit from within formula. I'm wearing it right now. It's a little bit, I got it in a shade that's a little bit too light for me, so I hope you'll forgive me. It's a little bit too pearlescent, but I am wearing White Pearl T0.5, which I think is like maybe the palest shade, maybe the second palest shade. I should have gone for a slightly deeper shade, but the formula is gorgeous. It also has its own dry down. It has a fantastic creamy consistency, and I would call it pretty much full coverage. And that's the only real full coverage one that I'm talking about today. So if I had to recommend a full coverage concealer that I tried this year, it would be this. And honestly, I can't even think of another one if we weren't talking just about things that I tried this year. Even the Hourglass one disappointed me. I'm still not that big of a fan of that one. So yeah, this is beautiful. Now the one that I've actually been wearing the most, even though again, not a colossal shade range, and I don't feel like the formulation on the shade range is like that awesome because it does lean really yellow in most people's experience. This is the fairest shade that they make. This is the shade 1 in the Kosas Revealer Concealer. I was actually part of the campaign to unveil this product when it came out, and I was so glad that they included me. It was such an easy product to love. While I feel like their tinted oil foundation, it's polarizing. You either love that or you hate it depending on whether you're willing to put up with something that's that unconventional. This is not unconventional. This is a very agreeable formula for a concealer. It goes with so many things. I would say if you're ever wondering whether a foundation and a concealer are going to agree, just look at the ingredients, just glance at them and see whether one is totally silicone free and the other one is not, or one is totally like waxy and oil based and the other one is not. That's going to help you decide whether or not a concealer that you're looking at is going to work with a foundation that you like to wear, things like that. So this does have, I believe, a little bit of silicones in it, but it is mostly kind of oil and wax based. And so the flexibility on it is really lovely, but it does also have its own dry down. So I have found that this combination, I put this in my favorites, they go so beautifully together. It's just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful formula that's long wearing, has a good amount of coverage, and as long as you can find your shade in it, that's the hard part. The Oma does have a much larger shade range. And finally, I just have to mention this because it's the one that I reach for the most. It is the product that I have probably used the most in terms of the concealer category this year and probably in past years too. It's the Westman Atelier, what's it called? Vital Skin Foundation Stick. This is all I have left of this. I'm almost done with it. This is a $68 foundation. It is crazy whopping expensive, but I don't think of this as a foundation. I think of it as a concealer because it is super high coverage. It has a perfect skin finish. I use the shade Atelier 0 and it actually like matches my skin, so I can use this to seamlessly blend and cover things on my face when I'm not wearing any other makeup and you wouldn't notice it. The way that you see Gucci Westman apply this is often with kind of a flat brush, and she just like whispers it over the spots on the skin that she wants to disguise. It's more of a camouflage, and it has absolutely completely flexible coverage. You can wear it totally built up or you can wear it super, super sheer. It's a beautiful formula. It does have coconut in it. In fact, it's like coconut based, and so I would definitely shy away from that if you're sensitive to it. But if I'm racking up usage this year of concealer type products, this is actually at the top, especially from summertime, because I like to wear almost no base product and just selectively concealing camouflage. And even though it is still not perfect, they did expand the shade range on this year. So that rounds out the concealer category. I feel like this is going really quickly, even though editing Kackie is not going to agree. I know it. So I only have 2 finishing powders, and that's because I really just haven't reached for anything else as far as a daily, flexible, lightweight finishing powder, because honestly, I ran out of the Cover FX, and I would probably repurchase the Cover FX once I get done with all of these. I still love that powder, and I think that it is so agreeable in so many different instances. I just don't have it on hand. This was the one that I reached for probably the most for mattification purposes, wearing selectively here and there to just get rid of grease and things like that. And this is the Bite Beauty Changemaker powder, and this comes in shades. So this is not a translucent. It actually does have a tiny bit of coverage to it, but I found that it worked really, really well for just what I was just saying. Mattifying slightly, selectively, just make sure that you get your color match in it. And the combination of this with the foundation that came out at the same time is absolutely wonderful. And even though Hourglass is on everybody's poo-poo list right now, there are going to be a few products from Hourglass in this, none that are complexion products. I mean, I guess you could count this as a complexion product, but as a translucent powder. This is the powder that I have found not just to be the most used, but also the most useful in the sense of its different things that it does. It'll clean up your eyeshadow. It will actually add coverage and make your makeup really bulletproof. It actually has like a little tiny bit of a luminescent pearlescence to it where it makes you just look lit from within, that very hourglass glow kind of thing. And it's just a really, really good powder. And yeah, it's real pricey, but you get a ton of bang for your buck. And they also sell a mini. This is just an oldie, but a goodie. It's such a good powder. And it is, I mean, these two are really the only powders that I've ended up reaching for this year. Okay, let's talk contours and bronzers. Contour, you guys know where I stand. I have panned 2 of these this year. This is the Salt New York contour, and granted, that's not everybody's contour shade. No, it's not, but there is no like white backing there. And this contour is, I think, the best contour just because it's truly actually a taupey gray instead of trying to contour with a tan color, which just does not create the illusion that I'm going for. I don't even have a powder contour. Hey y'all, I lied. I wanted to include this in the powder contour category. This is this little palette from the Lip Bar, the Go Off Minute Finish palette. I cannot neglect to mention this because not only does it have a fantastic little gray contour in it, but the blush, the highlight, this highlighting powder that's not glittery at all, this like finishing powder, they all work flawlessly. They're so beautiful, and this is very, very affordable. So had to throw this in here real quick. The closest that I have is actually the Arrive Beauty bronzer. This is a beautiful bronzer, and it is actually, they do come in 2 shades. This is the light medium shade, and there is a good amount of gray in there that makes this a bronzer. It's also a lovely formula. It spreads beautifully on the skin. I feel like this is just a very underappreciated little line. I did happen to see a little teaser on their Instagram the other day where they were talking about all the upcoming products that they are planning to launch next year, and you know, after that probably too, but I'm really keeping an eye on this brand because I think that they are so cool. I always say, do not come to the table with a bunch of mediocre products and make me a bunch of promises. Put out the product that you can absolutely like be proud to stick your name on, and that I feel like is what Arrive Beauty is doing. Arrive is like at the complete opposite side of the spectrum from like Say Beauty to me. Say Beauty just keeps cranking out mediocre products, and Arrive is like, we are going to measure our efforts and only put out things that are perfect, and these 2 products to me are perfect. I love them so much. Big fan of Arrive so far. I hope they just keep that going. The other bronzer that has obviously topped the list for me this year, and it, to most people, they're probably like, that's not a bronzer. It's a bronzer when you're as pale as I am. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in the shade 1 Fair. There are a lot of shades in this. I mean, not a lot. I haven't tried Vesca yet. I need to try Vesca in the new year. They have like 2 bronzers for everyone kind of thing. And it's not Fenty. You know, Fenty's also got tons and tons of shades of their cream bronzer, which, by the way, where is that? Hang on, that's important. How was I not gonna mention that? Okay. Anyway, love this bronzer. I think that it is absolutely gorgeous, and it's very, very good for fair skin tones. You guys saw in my fails video, my regrets video, the Ilia bronzer, and why so many one size fits most fair skin bronzers don't work on me is because they assume that everyone wants to be orange when they're tan, or that everybody's skin goes orange when they get in the sun. Mine goes like peach, so it just doesn't work. It looks very, very strange on me, and so I just appreciate that this is as pale as it is. I can go absolutely nuts with it, and I never go too far. And speaking of creams, okay, since I did just kind of give you guys a clue into that one, the Fenty Cheeks Out bronzer, I have it in 02 Butter Biscuit. The most fun thing to say ever, Butter Biscuit. This is so, so beautiful. I love this so much. I love this formula. I love this color. 01, I believe, is a contour. I think that they alternate in terms of cool, warm in this line, but this is the lightest warm one, and it is just an absolute nail it down bronzer shade for me. It's so good. You can see it does have some bronziness to it. It does have like some warmth to it, but it does have enough balance. It's neutral enough that it looks really, really at home on me. But a recent discovery, it shouldn't have been a discovery. The whole thing was, I've had this on hand the whole time, but Salt New York just reformulated all their stuff. Kackie sent these to me, and I decided, you know what, instead of trying the light medium bronzer, which is what Kackie wears, because Kackie is actually a lot warmer undertoned than I am, I just assumed, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that one, it'll be fine. You know, if she can get away with it, I can get away with it. This is actually the better bronzer shade for me, the light one, because you can see, especially in contrast, how peach it is. So I am actually wearing this today, and it's such an at-home shade on me. It almost looks like a blush, but it does come off the way that my skin looks when I get in the sun, which is the point of a bronzer, is to just give the illusion, you know? Like I'm wearing a whole lot of makeup and I don't mind people knowing that like my eyes are not glittery when I wake up, but I don't want to wear a color on my cheeks that doesn't look like something that would naturally happen there. That's just my personal preference, you know? It's all about fun and the illusion, trying to meet in the middle. So that's the bronzer category. I don't have very many bronzers that I love because, like I said, it's actually very, very difficult for me to find bronzers that work for me. So those are the tippy top if you're very fair like I am, and neutral undertone. I could totally see if you had fair skin, but a warm undertone that, you know, an orangey bronzer would probably work great on you because it's what your skin does in the sun, you know? Anyway, going down that color theory rabbit hole again, Kackie. Oh, let's talk about a little category I like to call blush. It's my favorite category. We're gonna start with powders because it's a very quick one on the powders. This is it. Honestly, there have been a lot of powder blush releases that I've tried this year. I tried all the Wayne Goss ones. I'm wearing some of the Wayne Goss ones right now. I tried to make them work today and I ended up with way too much product on my face and I kind of had to do some damage control. We tried the Patrick Ta one that came out, which is nice. There are a lot of nice ones that came out, but the amber palette specifically, I do like the rose quartz, but it's not as unique and as chart topping as the amber palette. This is just the perfect peach. It's the perfect peach, okay? And they both have the same formula. So, I mean, if you are more interested in a cool tone pink or a deeper whole set of values, there's the Ruby palette, which I don't own because it's for deeper skin tones. It's beautiful on deeper skin tones. This is the one that's right in the middle. It really works pretty universally for everybody because you do get so much saturation. I have to be just a little bit careful with it for that reason, but I'm willing to do that because the shade is just so beautiful. This peachy shade right here is just absolutely unbelievable. It is the color I would say that I wish that my skin would turn more often, but it is such a natural at-home shade. And so I guess what I'm saying is this one's my personal favorite colorway in this, but I think all three of these came out this year. Pick your fighter in terms of whether you want a cool toned pink, a medium toned peach, or a really nice, rich, deep ruby set of tones because there's something for everybody in this and the formula is just absolutely gorgeous. And you can get 20% off of Aether down below. Well, that was easy talking about the powder blushes. Now let's talk about creams. You guys know this is like my favorite category in the entire thing. So I just went on instinct. I opened up my cream blush drawer and I went with my gut. I didn't try and think too hard about it and I was like, boom, boom, boom. These are the best ones. Regardless of how long I've actually been using them, they're the ones that I would absolutely recommend to anybody. We will start with the Daniel Sandler gel cheek colors. Do I love his regular watercolor ones? Absolutely. They'll be making an appearance a little bit later, but these are the antidote to just about any woe that you might have with a cream cheek, right? There's things being too sticky, not having enough dry down, being too shimmery, being too oily. Some people don't like the cloud paints because they're too pigmented and they just get everywhere. These are a sophisticated version of the Glossier cloud paints. They go on so beautifully on the skin and they go on top of cream, they go on top of powder. You can apply them with a brush, a sponge. They have a gorgeous, beautiful spreadability to them, a dewiness right when you put them on, but they can spread out to almost a matte finish if they're on top of something that isn't too dewy. I feel like they kind of absorb whatever finish you put them on top of, which is exactly what you want anyway out of a blush. And then they do actually have a pretty darn good, I would say like an 80% dry down. They mix beautifully. There are 4 shades. There's Petal, Berry, Nectar, and Mango. Mango, he says, is more of a mixer because it is so orange, but I imagine it would also look incredibly beautiful on deep skin tones. So this formula is absolutely gorgeous. He did send these to me to try. They are just something that blew me away from the very get-go, and every time I use them, I just am reminded how much I love them. They're a very unique formula. They're pretty well priced, and they just kind of fall into the category of products where I feel like you're buying someone's experience, because you can tell Daniel Sandler, the patron saint of blusher, really knows what he's doing with a cheek product. So does Danessa Myricks, okay? And I really appreciate you guys. So many people have been DMing me lately, telling me about new releases from Danessa Myricks. I need to go and hit that up, do a brand new Danessa Myricks video in 2021, because she's been coming out with all kinds of new stuff. I think a new contour, some new eye stuff, I don't know, I really need to go check it out. I love watching her videos on Instagram. They are so satisfying. Either way, this is maybe my favorite thing that I've purchased this year. Every single time I talk about it, I've said that, and I feel like that has just rode me through the whole year. I still feel that way. So this is the Danessa Myricks Luxe Cream Palette in the colorway Nudist, the Nudist. And I mean, look at that. I can wear all of these peachy shades, I can wear these mauvey shades, and I can wear these kind of browny red shades. They just, that is just a playground. I can't go wrong. I can do no wrong with this palette. It's one of those things where I can just blindly stab a brush in. And I know that you're probably supposed to like deep hot this if you're an actual makeup artist and, you know, custom mix them and things like that. But I just go full Aries Kitchen and just like slam a brush in like, you know, 3 or 4 of them that I like. But if you do isolate them down, like look at this, you actually end up with like a really beautiful fair-skinned bronzer shade or a really, really nice like cool toned contour that you can use and like a really beautiful cool toned bronzer shade. And this actually, when it's spread out on the skin, gives me like you know, sunburn vibes in the best way possible. This is such an unbelievable palette. It's so much product for $44. It sells out all the time on Beautylish, but I highly recommend getting on their email list so that you know when they restock, because this is just an absolute game-changing blush palette. Okay, and finally in the cream blush category, I have to talk about these because we always talk about epic disappointment because of such high expectations being set on a product, right? And that sometimes your disappointment is even more so because you had such high hopes. This is the other way around. When I've made videos in the past about Thrive, I talked about these being probably the only product in their line that I just like couldn't get to work. And it was the Triple Threat Color Sticks. Well, I think they reformulated them, but they definitely came out with new shades, and these 2 shades blew me away in terms of actual usability. So this is Isabella and Tessa. Tessa is Fjords to the max. It is this beautiful, plummy, bricky, just deep red situation. And this is Isabella, and it is the perfect lighter coral shade. Guys, they mix beautifully, they wear alone beautifully, and these are a little bit different in terms of what you might expect from a cream blush because they're very silicone-y. And so I would highly recommend using a brush to apply these, and they do come with a brush attached at the other end, but you can use it like this. You can, you know, you can do that whole number, but you can also take the brush off. Took me a while to discover that one, but how brilliant is that so that you can actually do that on the go? But it is a very silicone-y formula that is like dry to the touch almost, and so it doesn't even have to have a dry down, and that is why it's such a fun, unique formula. It's so beautiful. The older shades, I feel like they just were like a little bit off. They were a little too highlighty or a little bit too pink or whatever, and these are just so much more wearable, and I love the formula. All right, so those are the cream cheek situations. I really wanted to concentrate it down to the very best for you guys so that we just didn't sit here. I mean, I have tons of videos on, you know, counting down all of my cream blushes and swatching them all and things like that. So, you know, you can always refer back to this to see my whole collection, but those are the best of the best. Let's talk highlighters. All right, so I wanted to talk first and foremost about probably the one that I've gotten the most use out of this year, and it is not just as a cheek highlight, but also as a highlight for my inner corner, my brow bone. This is the Aether Crushed Diamond, and it is, it is like an entire pan of Hourglass Scattered Light. It's wet looking, so it's not, I don't know, even that doesn't really do it justice because it doesn't have really much pigment to it. It is more of just a wet texture, and when you use it on a pencil brush in your eye look, it's just, it's like painting with magic, and you get an absolute crap ton in here. This is 10.5 grams for your money, guys. That is a crazy amount of highlighter when you compare that to, I don't know, an entire pressed powder, for example, from Bite Beauty is 7.5 grams. This is a lot of product. That's all I'm saying. The other powder highlighter that I really wanted to mention is, like I said in the last video, it's kind of sad because it's in with the blushes from Wayne Goss, and I'm just not that big of a fan of the blushes, but the highlighter is redonkulous. Now, that's not really my shade. It's a little bit deep. It's very pretty, but this formula actually blurs on the skin in a, woof, wow, that's a pretty swatch, isn't it? But the texture of this is so finely milled that even though it does give a really, really vibrant highlight on your skin, it gives the look of smoother skin. It doesn't highlight your imperfections, and that's why I always say, you know, he does a really, really good job of catering to all different skin tones, types, and ages. And then as far as a cream highlight, I absolutely do love the beige highlight, and actually all the highlights. This is just for my particular skin tone in the Salt New York, and that is because for a cream highlight, I really feel like it's the most believable looking. You know, you can just kind of touch that everywhere and it gives you a really beautiful glow that doesn't necessarily look like you're wearing highlighter. But this one right here, and honestly, I'm not sure you can buy this on its own. I'd have to take a look. Is this Sun Glow? This is Sun Glow. This is the bronzer. Hang on. I grabbed the wrong one. I accidentally grabbed the bronzer of this, and this is actually the highlighter. So this is called Moon Glow. And I bought this in a set from Daniel Sandler on Skin Store, and I'm not totally sure if you can buy this on its own, but if I can find it on its own, I will link it. But this is such a fun and beautiful highlighter. I don't know if that's even really doing it justice because I keep wiping other swatches off. Let's put it on this hand. So this has a little bit of a light pink cast to it, but the thing that I say about this all the time is that it is going to read on your skin like you have been photoshopped. Not like James Charles class pictures, graduation photos photoshopped. Like you're, you know, going through the Vogue September issue and you're like, that's not real. No one's skin looks like that. And they're trying to sell you perfume in an ad, you know, and they've got somebody who's just bronzed to the gods. And then they've got this like gorgeous, you know, very diffused looking highlight on the high points of their face or something. Like that's the Daniel Sandler liquid highlight. Like you put it on and you're just like, dang, that's incredible. And it's pretty easy to wear. You would think that since it's so liquidy, it would make other things move around underneath it, but it's not oily. And so it really, like if you were to put it on a sponge or something, your sponge would soak up the moisture or your brush would soak up the moisture and you would just get that lovely texture on the skin. I find that it's actually very versatile. And that's it for the highlights. Even the Charlotte Tilbury like didn't rise to, I don't know, exquisite status for me that I would tell you to run out and spend whatever the heck that thing cost. I really just like a highlight that blows my mind in one direction or the other, and that's why it's like either really subtle or just like really wapow, and that's why those get the mention. And I don't even know why I was like swatching the Wayne Goss, because that's what I'm wearing today. I could have just told you guys that. Okay, so I think that that's everything that goes on the face. So now we can talk about the eyes. Okay, so I have quite a few eyeshadow palettes here to talk about, and I don't even necessarily have categories for them. I just couldn't decide. So the first one, the Aether Quads. Again, I just think this is such an ingenious thing for her to put out. These are $24. They are a very, very good value for your money, and these shades are beautiful. I have a video on each of these on my channel just showing you guys what they're capable of. You can get lots of different looks out of them. This is Topaz, and then this is Ametrine, and these, in case you're wondering, all the shades are unique. They are not pulled from the other palettes. So even if you own a palette that kind of looks like this is going to be slightly different in shades and things like that. But I also just love the uniqueness of this one, having these greens in it, the green gold and kind of the deep olive green. These just wear beautifully. They wear on all skin tones. They're just gorgeous. And I like that the quad thing is happening right now. You know, I like that people are putting out smaller palettes that aren't quite as much commitment. And the next one, I feel like even though this is not necessarily, you know, made for my skin tone, it's worth mentioning because it's just really, really exceptional. The formula, the colorway, and I really hope that she continues to put out more colors in this. This is the new Divine Skies eyeshadow palette in Faded Clementine from M Cosmetics. I absolutely love the, was it the Magic Hour version of it? It works beautifully as well. I want to see more. I can't wait to see more. This formula is delicious. It's so gorgeous. Oh yeah, so I did the whole eye look when I did this in the oranges to really challenge myself, but when we do my no buy month in January, I think I'm going to come back to this and really focus in on these purples because they are out of control and they are so much easier to wear. Although that's like a purple shift orange. I see what you did, Michelle. That's so smart to make things really join together. I love that. So the other one, and this didn't, I don't think this came out this year, but you guys finally convinced me to try it. The Rowan 1111 palette is not what I'm wearing on my eyes, but I think that like somewhere in the back of my mind, I was inspired by it because I genuinely could get this look in cream out of this palette because of just these gorgeous glitters. They're so beautiful. Did you guys know though that Rowan got acquired? Like the original founder who had the great mind to develop all of these things, she got pushed out. Is that like the saddest thing ever? I'll be interested to see what else they put out because I think that the Cake mascara came out after she left. I'm not totally sure, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they keep coming out with really ingenious releases or if like they keep just iterating on, you know, their older formulas, but this is absolutely gorgeous and I wanted to thank you guys for convincing me to buy this. I do want to mention the Stone Vibes palette from Urban Decay just because I think this was like the only palette they put out this year. This formula is so awesome. It is what I'm wearing on my eyes right now. I did top it off with a little bit of other glitter, but I also want to mention this because I put this in a video where I absolutely loved the look that came out of it, but I did not like what I ended up talking about in that video, so I ended up taking the video down, and I feel like I did an injustice to the products in that video, and this was one of them, and it was just so heartbreaking because what an interesting palette. Is it for you? Maybe not. These are all these crazy, like mind-blowing, multi-glitter jewel tones. So I mean, that's not for everybody, but boy, are they exciting. If that's for you, it's for you, and they layer so beautifully. So I'll take a couple of colors that weren't what I just swatched, and I'll like take that unicorn color and put it on top. Ooh, the way that they layer and mix, it just creates this beautiful multi-dimensional foil situation. There's really infinite possibilities in this palette, and they did provide you with 4 really good like base mattes that I feel like work really well to create any kind of look around them. It's just a pretty intelligent palette for what it is. For being kind of a novelty, I feel like they made it very practical as something like this could be. And I actually reached for it a lot more than I expected to. It's what I'm wearing right now. I'm wearing that with these on top. Now these also rose to the top. I did not realize that bio glitter was something that a lot of companies are putting out right now, smaller companies too, and I'm just really glad that it's becoming a thing. But I did get a lot of questions from people when these first came out. They were like, are they going to fall out? Are they going to stick? Is there any compromise to a bio glitter? Do you feel like you're actually, you know, having a negative trade-off by it not being like real glitter or something? Absolutely not. It's so beautiful. I mean, look at that on my eyes. And if you want to see these in action where I just like compile them on my eyeballs, go and watch Make It Ready With Me that I did a week ago, last Wednesday, the big collab that I did with all those other great creators. And I used these and they're just magical. They're magical. So yeah, these are the Lawless Bio Glitter eyeshadows and they're in Sparkling Rosé and Champagne Dreams. They're so beautiful. And then we move into what I used the most this year. You guys know that this is and will always be my mainstay palette. This is actually the second one I think that I have owned in this. So this is the Thrive Perfect Eye Palette in Warm Neutrals. This is where I get my eyeliner from. This is where I get any of my Back Me Out of Trouble shades. This is the perfect contour shade for your crease. And it's just a really good mainstay palette. It's very pigmented, and when you wet the shades, they do go waterproof, which is just so awesome. That's why I use them for this really high impact liner that I do. It's pretty much the best one. And then the other two that I've just come back to, one of them I didn't try for the first time this year, and one of them I did. And that is PYT. I really feel kind of guilty almost for not talking about these more because they are so awesome, especially their shimmer formula, but the whole thing is just, it's the perfect beginner makeup formula. So this is gonna be their cool toned one. This is the No BS palette. This is the original one, and I've had this for probably way too long. It's super beautiful. You can see it's gotten a ton of love from me, and I just like it because yeah, it's like really easy to work with cool tones. Is this the best palette for deep skin tones? Not in the terms of the mattes, probably not, but those shimmers are gonna show up beautifully on just about anybody. They just have a ton of impact and no real like talky whiteness behind them. In fact, I think these don't have talc in them. This is the Warm Day to Night eyeshadow palette, and this one is going to give a lot more really beautiful depth, and these are very pure pigments, not dusty, not to the point of, you know, behaving like a pressed pigment, but the pigmentation on them is really, really powerful and wonderful, but they are such, oh my God, a creamy pleasure to work with. this shimmer formula is just bonkers. It's so satisfying. And these hold the distinction of the fastest eye look that I can put together because they're mindless. I mean, they're just an absolute pleasure. They're very, very easy to use, but I can just, literally the word is smear. I can smear these shimmers all around my eye like a smoky eye and then just use one of the mats to kind of clean it up and I'm done. Put on some mascara, I'm out the door, and they give me so much drama, but they're also like, you can get some really good restrained looks out of these too, like some daytime looks if that's not your thing, but I just think these are really, really brilliant. The formula is absolutely gorgeous and I feel bad for not mentioning them more often. I think these are gonna go in my project pan as well, at least one of them. Probably the cool toned one. So that is it for eyeshadow. And you do know where I stand on my Thrive mascara, and they did come out, I believe, this year. I can talk about this being new, in the shade Crystal, which is brown. And so I'm really, really glad that they came out with a brown shade because that is what I prefer to wear with my dark brown eyeliner. I just feel like it's softer on my face. I mean, granted, black can be really awesome. I think that it photographs beautifully and I do like the impact of it sometimes, especially when I do have a really, really like rich eye look. But on the day-to-day, I do prefer brown. I think it does have a, you know, subtle but noticeable difference. However, like I talked about in my last video, seemingly eternal, seemingly possibly futile journey that I have been on to try and find you guys a clean mascara formula that actually works and doesn't smudge. We have not found a perfect one, but the closest I have come is Jones Road Beauty. This is a very, very, very beautiful mascara. It does have a curved brush, a big fat curved brush. Again, not everybody's thing, but I do find that it helps to build tons and tons of volume. This almost reminds me of MAC Fiber Lash. I don't know if this has fibers in it, but I mean, it is not playing around. This is a mascara for mascara lovers. And the trade-off here, yes, it does a really good job of not smudging. I will say that. I found it to be the best of the best as far as that was concerned in those expectations, but and I will always say this because that's the reason that I wear a tubing mascara, is because there's no woes when it comes to wash off. You just put warm water on it and it just goes, eh. You never have to rub your eyes. It never gives you raccoon eyes. This is a real mess to get off. So if that's what you're used to and that's fine with you, that's one thing. And if you're okay with just kind of soaking your eyes with a micellar water or using an oil cleanser or something like that, that's fine, but I do want to warn you guys up front, what you end up paying for this with is the wash off. Like, the performance is fantastic, but the wash off is gnarly. Brow products, I have not really, I mean, I love the M Cosmetics brow products, I do, but I still come back to my two mainstays. This is the Thrive Audrey brow pencil, and this is the Boy Brow from Glossier in brown. They just happen to be the ones that I can rely on the most. They're just the colors that I like to wear, and I love the hold on the Boy Brow. But let's talk about lips, guys. There's really only that category left, so let's do it. Now, I did just do a whole roundup of my favorite lip products, all my favorite lip glosses and everything, and so, you know, you can refer back to that if you want to see something exhaustive. And I did just order Ted McKnight from Buffalo Beauty Boy, made a video recently where he tried his own custom lipstick from a brand called Finding Ferdinand, and I was like, what? I'd like pause the video. I was like, what? I can make my own lipstick? That just sounds like too much fun. And so I ordered two of them, two different ones. I ordered myself like a really beautiful, like mauve nude kind of color for me, and both in like a sheer formula. So it's gonna be really like beautiful, hopefully a little bit balmy. And then I ordered like a blue red that I think maybe I can finally wear red. Who knows? We'll see. And then I also got a blush palette because of course I did, but I thought that that was really, really fun. I'm really excited to try those. I don't know if you guys have heard of that brand. I certainly had not. That's coming in the mail soon. Anyway, let's talk about some lip products. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about my current lip product. Actually, that's concealer. That's me being lazy and not wanting to wipe my concealer off before I put my lip product on. Let's start with Full Saturation. I found this formula to be lovely. If you can find a shade that you really, really like in this, then this formula is pretty darn remarkable. So this is the Posh lipstick from Victoria Beckham Beauty, and this is in the shade Sway. It just has, I feel like, the perfect creamy, balmy consistency. Just so nice. And that's actually a really pretty, like, mauvey color on me. I did not love Pixie. It was a little bit too yellow for me. It's supposed to be a nude, but I know she has other nudes in the line. But like, Not only is it a beautiful, easy to wear, easy to apply formula, but like this is just such a luxurious little tube, isn't it? Ooh, I just love it. It's so svelte. Ooh, it feels so good. It's so cushiony. By the way, guys, after all the pissing and moaning that I did about not wanting to try the Fit Glow lip glosses, State of Kate sent out a little gift to a bunch of different creators, and now I have 3 minis of it, and I want to put it on a video for you guys. I want to do a video with, she did the lip liners and the lip glosses, and I want to put that in a video for y'all too, so. I am finally trying them. Ooh, but that feels so good. Look at that. It is just so pretty. What a pretty color. It is a color that if I did not already own it, I would create it for myself on Finding Ferdinand. Okay, the next one in terms, I guess we're just going backwards on pigmentation. I mean, this is my favorite lip product of the whole year, guys. This formula is ridiculous. It's so good. This is the M Cosmetics Lip Cushion, and this happens to be in the shade Venetian Rose. It's what I've been wearing for the whole video up until now. I love this so much. It's the best. It's the best consistency. Actually, you know what? It is only very, very slightly less pigmented than the Victoria Beckham and only slightly glossier. They're really similar when you put them on, and they're both in these dainty, adorable little skinny tubes. Makes it very easy for clumsy people like me to get them in the right place on my mouth, but yeah, that color, what a great color. It's like this perfect neutral rose. She just knows what she's doing, guys, and pretty much every shade in this is beautiful, but Venetian Rose, if you have a passion for a good neutral rose shade like I have, and honestly, everybody's been telling me, they're like, that's the next thing that I need to see in the Divine Skies eyeshadow palette. She needs to do it in a Venetian Rose colorway, and I could not agree more. I hope that that is what she's working on next. Boy, would that be fun. That'd be so much fun. Oh my God. Oh, okay, I'm gonna stop. We need a blush too. Ollie agrees. All right, next, moving backwards in terms of pigmentation. I said there were going to be a couple of Hourglass products in this, and this one just, this formula is awesome. It's so good. This is the Unreal lip gloss from Hourglass, and it's worth every penny. I'm sorry, it's so good, and it's minty. It's really like one of the most perfect lip glosses I've ever used. I'm just gonna top this off with it. This is the shade Provoke. She just looks expensive. She looks luxurious. She feels good. It's just, Hourglass needs to open their ears and their eyes, because really all we're asking is for everyone to have access to your delicious formulas, okay? That's all that we're asking. But the lip gloss, I do feel like would, you know, anybody could find a shade in their lip glosses. Next. This is in every clean beauty and some not clean beauty. I think that Amanda Z dubbed us the no makeup community on YouTube. This is in everyone's favorites this year, and it is the Rowan Kiss My Liquid Lip Balms. And this is in the shade Scout. It is the deepest of the 3. It just happened to be the one I pulled out. Oh yeah. It's so pretty. It's just this beautiful berry color. Again, just because it is such a beautiful, slightly sheer wash, you know, not super duper pigmented, this is just good on everybody. Their fairest shade is not my favorite. I talk about that all the time, but this is so beautiful. It's like Fjords vibes, but on your lips. Again, that's the shade Scout. Utterly beautiful formula. It just feels so luxurious when you're using it, and I do love the packaging. Am I like doing that gross thing where I've put on too much lip product? I can feel it happening. Wow, no, not putting you guys through that. I got carried away like Tati did, you know? She would always put on like 5 different lip products, and then it'd just be like, not having it. Okay guys, so my clear lip gloss fave, the Glossier, has finally been pushed out, and it is by an affordable product. It is the ColourPop Luxe Gloss formula. This is just so nice. Oh, you get so much of it too. So this happens to be the one that was in the Raw Beauty Christie collab, and I'm so glad that I was able to pick this up. It smells like cake, but it's also a little bit minty, I think. It smells a little minty. Oh, and it has, this particular one happens to have a little bit of beige glitter in it, but it doesn't even matter. It is such a pillowy, smooth lip gloss formula, and I hadn't tried this one yet when I did my lip gloss roundup because it hadn't come out yet. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I like it so, so very much. And for the hit or missness sometimes of ColourPop's releases, I feel like the Luxe Gloss is just, it's so dialed in. It's so good. And it's such a good thing that it is, because I don't think you should have to pay a whole lot for a really beautiful lip gloss. And you know, I would try this in any shade that they had. All right, so finally, setting sprays. And I ended up loving 2 setting sprays this year. One was the Veil Soft Focus Setting Spray from Hourglass. This makes your makeup flexible, which is remarkable. This one kind of does that too, but it's a little bit dewier and a little bit lighter weight. But regardless, this one has a lot of emolliency to it. Emollients? It's got emollients, plural, where when you spray this on your face, you hardly even feel it, but it has, I think, a lot of glycerin in it. And that glycerin wets your makeup and then it dries your makeup. But then, you know, even if I haven't had my Botox lately or anything like that, or you have smile lines and stuff, and you're gonna be photographed and you don't want things gathering, it's wild because it takes the whole layer of makeup that you have on your face and it turns it into a more flexible consistency. And so you can smile, you can frown, you can scowl, whatever, and it all bounces back out of your lines. So it's worth it in that sense for me. This is really expensive. It's like $48 and you get 4 ounces of it, but it's very cool and you really need so little. When I did try this in a video, I couldn't feel it going onto my face because it has such an incredibly fine mist, but it will leave a film everywhere, so you know, don't put it over anything that you care about. But you don't need very much. Even if you can't feel it going onto your face, understand that it's happening. Otherwise you'll put on too much like I did, but it does actually make a huge difference even when you only use a little bit. And this is the one that I've been using just day to day, the new Charlotte Tilbury one, the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Party all night, stay all day. It's quite nice. It does have a light fragrance to it, but it does not linger at all. It's just kind of floral. And it is like, it's like this, but light. I don't know, it just doesn't have that same like freezing quality to it or anything, but it does really help your makeup wear all day, and it doesn't have like, I don't know, the kind of oily emollients that that one does, that like very, very, very glycerin-y thing. It's a little bit more refreshing and it's a little bit lighter on your face. So I ended up liking both of them. It's kind of hard to split hairs between setting sprays, but I think this is more of an event setting spray and this is more of an everyday setting spray. Okay, I really feel like I tried to make that concise, but I have no idea how long this video is going to be. It's probably going to be at least 45 minutes long. You know what? I'm not gonna apologize. It is a one-stop shop. If you didn't watch any of my videos this year, now you know how I feel about all of these products and what were my favorites. So these are the best of the best. And I always have to give this disclaimer, but if there was something this year that I loved that didn't make it into this video, that doesn't mean that I hate it. It just means that it's not like the best. And there were a lot of different variables that went into deciding what was the best in a lot of cases, especially when it comes to complexion products. I try to really take into consideration, you know, like the shade ranges and things like that. So those are all of my favorites from 2020. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I think I'm still going to do like a big, just like a collecting our thoughts at the end of the year, planning for next year kind of video. I always like to do one of those. And I also, a few years ago, I don't know if you guys remember this, Jackie Ina used to do this video series called Trends I Want to Leave in whatever year. Like it would be Trends I Want to Leave in 2020. And they were always makeup trends and they were the funniest freaking thing in the world. But even in her last one, which I think was 2 years ago, she was like, I'm leaving this to y'all. Whoever wants to do this kind of video is welcome to do it, but I'm not doing them anymore. And I don't know why, but it just stuck with me. I don't necessarily want to do one about makeup, but I want to do one about like the trends that have been online lately. Like it's gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna be kind of funny, but I think I want to do one of those too. Just keep an eye out for it if I end up doing it. Also, as is tradition for this video, I'm hoarse. It would not be an end of year best of the best video if I wasn't hoarse by the end of it. So hopefully my microphone stayed on the whole time, or you're just getting a blog post. So thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you for being a part of my channel this year. It means the absolute world to me. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.